Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump. Today is March 18th, Wednesday. I'm your host, Jose Galison, and this is the kitty of the day, Toasty, the other pregnant mama, one of two that we have right now, getting bigger every time I show you to you guys every week. Now, if you like seeing my hot takes Monday through Friday around 11 a.m. Eastern, that's what we shoot for. We don't always make every day. We almost certainly don't always make it on time, but that's the goal. Or if you just like seeing the kitty of the day, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications so you can see when I'm live and when I'm dropping new videos. We'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine. It's a beautiful day. I'm alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are having a good day. Hope you're having a productive one. I've been having one already. I got a little workout in. I hope you guys have done something productive. If not, we're gonna get into it. Either get started or continue that trend. Let's hope the internet starts working. Let me know. Am I coming over good? Sounding good? Because it was X was being glitchy just a second ago, so I'm a little bit worried now. Because I do use X for like my my visual stuff, which is what most of the show is. So if Twitter decided to poop the bed like right now, right as I start my show, we'd be very screwed. I'd have to just cancel the show. So hopefully it works. I'm having issues with one of the tab. I was trying to retweet the post. So I don't know, maybe after I say hello to all you guys and stuff, maybe by that point it'll be working again. So fingers crossed. But yeah, it should be a good. We have a lot to go through today. Today is a little bit unique. Our the format recently with the Iran war stuff. Many of these days, our foreign policy roundup, which is usually just like a short little stint, kind of going through all of it, kind of became major segments for every episode recently. Well, the same thing's happening with our icebreaker content, which is usually our first little bit that we go into. That's a little bit more like fun, funny, goofy, something more like. Gen pop, that's kind of like everybody's kind of into these days, sort of thing. Gen pop slop. Today the icebreaker content has expanded into a full-on segment. I think it calls for it. Times have been dour lately, so when they call for a hero, we will make one or whatever the fuck. And we need a heroic figure. An Afro man has risen to the occasion. So. We have a little bit of a goofy story, although I do think it's substantive, so maybe not quite gem pop slop, but it'll definitely be fun. We'll have some laughs along the way. That's our first segment of the day, Because I Got Rights. Because I Got Rights. Because I Got Rights. And then we'll get into, after that, we'll go into foreign policy. We'll do our foreign policy roundup, and then we'll get into the other two major segments of the day. We got the Pedostate Empire, and then Glowie Grab-bag. Pedostate Empire speaks for itself. Glowie Grab-bag, it's a grab bag. It's assorted of different things. We got a chemtrail story. We got a curing cancer story. Just some stuff like that. Some new stuff on the conspiracy front. Just some assorted little topics like that. And we'll pop into the chat. We'll say hello to you guys in between each segment. I do try to give everybody an obligatory good morning. After that, you got to catch my interest or catch my wallet. This is monetized, so you can drop super chats if you're watching on YouTube. And big shout out to John Black. Because of him, you YouTube viewers are not going to be assaulted by ads today. Just to remind you guys, there is an ongoing offer that if you guys super chat and say no ads, then I will not play ads for the next day. So give a big thanks to John Black, and maybe someone will rise to the occasion for it for today. But I will warn you guys, there's a good chance I may actually not do the dump tomorrow. If so, it'll be at a different time, because same thing as yesterday where my kiddo's soccer was all off. I have the same thing tomorrow. So I'll probably either be a really late dump or no dump at all. So we'll see. Really, that probably is more topic dependent, depending on what's going on in the world. So big thanks to John Black, and if somebody else wants to keep that trend going, if they don't want any more ads, then they can do the same dang thing. So drop a super chat, say no ads. Otherwise, you can go watch on Rumble, or you can be a patron, and then you can listen to it ad-free later. So lots of options. But with that, I also do remind you guys, I do timestamp this stuff too. So if you are someone who doesn't want to listen to the chat banter, I totally get it. You can catch it back later. I try to keep the banter toward the end of each segment, so you can just pop right to the next segment as soon as you catch wind of that banter, and you can skip right past it. So, but yeah, let's see. Let's hope. Fingers crossed. Let's see if Twitter decides to work, because like I said, it was being glitchy in the background. So to start off, like I said, we're starting off with this Afro Man stuff. So, like I said, fingers crossed. So let's go through this. First off, we got. By the way, do you guys like look at this? Do you guys like the new ad? Not new ad. The new branding. Let me see if I can find a way to show it while keeping me in the frame. And you can kind of see a little bit. I'll take myself down off the screen for a second, real quick, so you guys. You get a good look at it? There you go. That's Uncle Ted made that. Appreciate that, Uncle Ted, in the chat. I thought that was pretty cool. It's like an update on the older version. Probably going to update the branding and start putting that in there. So that's cool. If you were watching Already Dead too, you also saw we got some new, what looks like will probably end up being new Already Dead branding, maybe. So cool stuff. We appreciate you guys. You guys make stuff happen, the fans of the show. So let's get into it. Let's get into Afro Man. What's he up to? What's he about? Oh, dang it. 1 second. Sorry. There we go. All right, what is this all about? All right, what is the whole Afro Man thing? Apparently, Afro Man is being sued right now. He's being sued for defamation by the cops. The Adams County Sheriff. This is in Ohio. This is a civil lawsuit. 7 of the deputies are suing him for defamation, which is richly ironic because defamation is, lying. So it's lying about people, essentially, in simple terms. And what started this all off but lying? The cops were fucking lying. This initially started off with apparently they thought he kidnapped some people or some shit. So there was a search warrant executed on his house. That was not true whatsoever, and Afro Man's been having lots of fun with it and trolling these guys all throughout. So we'll be covering this trolling. So let's read this post real quick. It says, rapper Afro Man is scheduled to stand trial in a civil lawsuit filed by 7 Adams County Sheriff deputies. The legal battle stems from a 2022 raid on Afro Man's home, where officers were investigating alleged drug trafficking and kidnapping claims that resulted in no charges. Afro Man used his own security footage from the raid to create music videos which mock the officers in the botched operation. So these music videos are going to be what we're covering a lot of. So it will be a little bit longer. This is why I'm making a full-on segment. But it's worth it. It's just fun watching Afro Man troll on the cops. The officers allege that Afro Man used their personas for commercial profit without authorization, causing them humiliation, ridicule, mental distress, and loss of reputation. They are seeking $25,000 per count. So... all right, let's play this little clip of Afro Man talking about it.
Should have freedom of speech. I should be allowed to sing about my life. And police officers that violate my home, steal my money, should not be allowed to sue me.
In August of 2022, Adams County deputies raided the home of Joseph Foreman, better known as the rapper Afro Man. They had a search warrant tied to an investigation into possible drugs and kidnapping victims.
They didn't charge me for any crimes. They didn't find no large amounts of marijuana or whatever narcotic they were saying. They didn't find any kidnapping victims.
Afro Man was never charged with a crime after the raid. Deputies seized thousands of dollars in cash that was later returned, but Afro Man says about $400 was never recovered. The raid also left damage throughout his home, and he says the department told him it was not responsible for paying for the repairs.
The guy started laughing and waddling his head. He goes, "We're not required to do that." And they were unapologetic.
Afro Man used his own security footage from the raids in a music video to make money to pay for the damages sustained to his home.
I got freedom of speech, and then I used my personal life to write my music. I was going to clean my room, but then I got out. Will you help me repair my gate? Will you help me repair my door? I'm singing about what actually happened to me.
Deputies who appear in the video are now suing the rapper for the damages caused by their faces being in the videos.
Hey, we raid your house, we steal your money, we disconnect your cameras. Now we need to sue you for saying something about it.
Afro Man filed a countersuit for the damages to his home, and Judge Jonathan Hines dismissed those charges in February.
They dismissed all of my claims with the click of a mouse in some little office somewhere without a hearing.
Afro Man believes this lawsuit violates his free speech rights as an American and as a working artist in the United States.
As a working rapper that raps for a living and pays taxes to America with rap money, I need raw materials. Raw materials is my life experience.
Okay, so you guys get the idea of what's going on here a little bit. So he's making songs while this, having some fun. Let's watch one of these songs. Let's see if it'll let me.
Afro Man will bring it to ya. Afro Man is gonna do ya. Afro Man is gonna screw ya. My proof's on the internet. Brian Newland is a flag. William is a pedophile. If I'm telling folks the truth, how come I have to go to trial? Newland sexting kids, that's true. Now he's stealing my money too. My proof's on the internet. Afro Man will bring it to ya. Afro Man is gonna do ya. Afro Man is gonna screw ya. My proof's on the internet. Tasha Chamberlain is a confidential informant. Roy Gabbard is the judge that signs fictitious warrant. This whole situation is totally their fault. Don't rape me, don't get videoed and caught. Afro Man will bring it to ya. Afro Man is gonna do ya. Afro Man is gonna screw ya. My proof's on the internet. Prosecutor David Kelly turned to jelly when they fell. Coward ran to Arizona so he wouldn't catch the hell. Kimmy tried to dodge us. Rogers tried to retire and dip like a rat leaving a sinking ship. Afro Man will bring it to ya. Afro Man is gonna do ya. Afro Man is gonna screw ya. My proof's on the internet. All you crooked cops in the world that's doing wrong, you better stop, you crooked cop, before I put you in a song. Make your family and your friends laugh out loud and sing along. My proof's on the internet. Afro Man will bring it to ya. Afro Man is gonna do ya. Afro Man is gonna screw ya. The proof's on the internet. You think they gonna buy this shit, man?
All right, this is awesome. This is the greatest. Okay, right off the jump, he called the one dude a freaking pedophile. And then let's go back. I want to see. I think he shows receipts too. So you got this one kid I think he called the one guy a faggot and the one guy a pedophile. And then I think he showed, a former police chief charge, William Newland, former people's chief, photos in December, due in court on Monday. I think the implication there is, let's look this guy, William Newland, actually. Let's look up William Newland. I want to look into this. Newland, see what comes up. William Newland, former Feebles police chief, accused of giving juvenile obscene or harmful material, court docs say. He's accused of giving a juvenile or a group of juveniles material that could be considered obscene or harmful. The alleged offenses occurred between December 11th and December 19th. Court documents do not elaborate beyond that, but Newland was charged with disseminating matter harmful to juveniles. Well, I guess technically there could be some sort of out, but let's be real, that sounds like he's sending nudes to kiddos, is what it sounds like. I mean, I don't really know what other things he could have. I mean, there's giving the material that could be considered obscene or harmful. I mean, I guess they could mean physically in because they didn't say it was over like text or something. So I guess maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. I guess he literally could be given drugs, but looking like some pedo stuff. So that's well, I see another one where they say that it's obscene. They're saying obscene photos. So okay, I'm seeing other stuff that's saying obscene photos. So that's wild. Okay, let's get more into this. That was Batterum Hymns of the Police Whistleblower is what that one's called. We're not done. We're not done. We got more to go through. Apparently there's one of these cops that apparently he claimed that he was sleeping with his wife, which is pretty awesome. So let's watch this clip. Really? Is audio out right now? God dang it. Give me a second. 1 second. Of course, audio pooped. I hate StreamYard. Give me a moment. Give me 1 moment, and I will fix this. We will have our Afro Man listening experience back on track real quick like. Here we go. We're back.
And that's painted you in a false light. So you're claiming that is the defamation statement is that he said he had sex with your wife?
Yes.
And that's painted you in a false light?
It's caused tremendous pain in my life.
I'll get to that. We have to go through false light first. So does it paint you in a false light?
Yes, that my wife is cheating on me with Mr. Foreman.
But we all know that's not true, correct?
I don't know.
Wait, you don't know if your wife's cheating on you or not?
You want to go there?
No, I just want to ask that question because you said we don't know.
I've been with that woman since middle school.
I know.
I would hope she wouldn't. But you know what? Once somebody puts it out there for their fun and entertainment, it's out there. And it's a problem.
So it's something we cannot verify the truth of? Is it a thing that can be verified, true or false?
Ask your client.
Okay. All right, so you got a little bit of the on the stand back and forth about I don't know, kind of digging into the whole sleeping with his wife. All right, well, I have something amazing for you guys. Here we go. I really hope this stuff isn't copywritten, like, or whatever. Which I would think Afro Man would have been smart about this and not like and made it fair use stuff, or whatever the hell the term is, where you allow anyone to use it. Because let's be real, that's how you get this to get legs. So let's here's for hoping. Which, I mean, whatever. I guess I don't have ads on, so it doesn't matter. So let's watch this. I think sometimes they can pull your whole stream if you do like take too much copyright material. It doesn't even matter if it's monetized. But let's keep going.
Walters is the son of a bitch. Yeah, that's why I fucked his wife and got filthy rich. Stop stealing my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop disconnecting my video. Fix my dough. Fix my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop disconnecting my video. Fix my dough. Fix It's my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop disconnecting my video. It's my dough. It's my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop stealing my dough. Stop disconnecting my video.
All right, great stuff. Let's check out some more clips. Let's see. Here's another one. Here's the one. What's his name? Randy Walter, the one sheriff, being asked about if he's a son of a bitch. So they're this is just how silly this shit is. This is why defamation shouldn't be a fucking thing. I'm sorry, it's stupid. I get it. It sucks when people lie about you, but people have the right to lie. And I think we especially should have the right to lie about cops, like especially so. I also had sex with Randy Walter's wife, if you didn't know that. Let's keep playing.
You've been called the son of a bitch before, correct?
Not published, but yes.
Randy Walters is the son of a...
So yeah, they're kind of taking issue with being called the son of a bitch. It's just, this is so silly. Like, I mean, I get it. I guess technically, like, the claiming he slept with his wife is technically like a pretty overt lie, but whatever. Fuck this guy. Let me see. There's also this one. I don't know if I'll be able to play this whole one because this one gets a little bit raunchy. This one's fun. I guess there was a pretty butch looking deputy or whatever. One of them. This one that you're seeing right here, I believe, is someone who got to reenact her or something, just so you don't get confused. Just so you can keep the character straight. But yes, let's go ahead and play this.
Lick 'em, Lisa.
So see, that's the one he chose to play her.
Came to Lisa.
And that's the real one.
Came to town. She ate all the pussy all around. From Adams County to the 275. Lick 'em low, Lisa. Licking every pussy alive. Lick 'em low, Lisa. Lick 'em low, Lisa. Pussy like pizza. Sometimes she won't. Lick 'em low, Lisa. Lick 'em.
All right, you get the idea. That's the whole video. The whole video is just he's playing off that she's a big old butch lesbian, having fun with it, showing her eating box, stuff like that. I got one more clip for the Afro Man ordeal, and then we'll move on, finish out our icebreaker content. This has been fun. I think is one of the greatest things that's happened in a while, I think personally. But let's watch this. 1 second, if I can find the tab again. My bad. Where the hell? Oh, there it is. My bad. All right, here you go.
Just lies you tell about them, the more money you can make, right?
Fact, they never should have came to my house in the first place. Fact, if they hadn't have came to my house, they wouldn't have put themselves on the video camera and in my music career. All of this is their fact. All of this is their fault, and they have the audacity to sue me. These people and you are the predators and the victim at the same time.
So what they did, searching your house, gave you the right to do everything you
Under the circumstance that I got freedom of speech, after they run around my house with guns and kick down my door, I got the right to kick a can in my backyard, use my freedom of speech, turn my bad times into a good time. Yes, I do. And I think I'm a sport for doing so, because I don't go to their house, kick down their doors, flip them off on their surveillance cameras, then try to play the victim and sue them.
All right. Okay, moving on past Afro Man. Let's have one last little story before we get into the foreign policy portion of the show. Before we say our good mornings to all of you fine fellows out there. I just thought this was a little bit funny. I don't know how true this is. Don't sue me for defamation, Trump administration. But this is from OSINT Defender on Twitter, so you know it's true. It says, after President Trump claimed to reporters twice today that he had recently spoken to a former president who praised his actions in Iran, saying, "I wish I did what you did," aides to all 4 living presidents, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden, have issued statements to CNN saying there's no record of any communications between them and President Trump. A lot of people in the replies immediately pointing out, like, oh, well, he spoke to the 45th president, which That's him. So, yeah, the funny situation, obviously. He's been seemingly making up lots of shit these days. And it kind of catching up to bite him over and over again. That'll be a theme, I think, a little bit in today's foreign policy. Once again, rubbing his nose a little bit in it. The rest of the wide world didn't seem to want to join his war, despite the fact he's acting as if they were going to. But, all right, guys, that's enough of our icebreaker content. Let's check in the chat, say good morning, and then we'll get into the latest in the foreign policy world. Say some good mornings to everybody. Good morning, Comment Mama, saying love the Afro Man thumbnail. Check out his song, Lemon Pound Cake. Yeah, I almost played that one too, but it felt like redundant. And honestly, that was probably the lamest of them. There is one, you guys go look it up, Lemon Pound Cake. There was another deputy that they call, I mean, the on the stand of it was pretty funny. Him like having to answer like, I don't know why they call me Lemon Pound Cake. I be getting so many Lemon Pound Cakes. Man, it's so hard to live with everybody calling me Lemon Pound Cake. And his was just that, like, I guess there's like on video, you can see like when they're executing the warrant. It is like kind of a humorous moment. It's a whole song about how like calling him Lemon Pound Cake, saying he likes Lemon Pound Cake. He wanted to eat it because he was high, supposedly. Like, that's the joke. But you see in the video, you see the one deputy, like, as he's walking around with his gun, there is a lemon pound cake on the counter. And, like, you could see him do this, like, double take. And so, like, he didn't actually eat it, but it looked like he really was considering it. And he is kind of a fat fuck. So it was like, so Afro Man's teasing him for that, which is funny because Afro Man's a fat guy, too. But I don't think he really cares. He's just teasing the guy. And it's just kind of a funny moment that you see him as he's, like, being all serious, going around with a gun and, like, you know, going around. Then you see him just, like, stop and then, like, is that a lemon pound cake? So you kind of think he's going to eat it. He doesn't. I wish he had. It would have been a lot funnier moment if he'd actually ate the lemon pound cake mid-warrant. But no. But I didn't play that. You guys go look up that one. I just thought that might have been a little bit redundant, a little bit much. Good morning, Nemo Liberty. Good morning. Saying early dump. Still technically late, so like 30 minutes late. Good morning, Tom33. Good morning, Retardo. Good morning, that one chick, Chris. Good morning. Good morning, Fendelander. Good morning, Daz. Good morning. Oh, nice. Nemo Liberty says he works at a warehouse, and your show is what I have on 80% of the time, or Breaking Points. Hell yeah. Breaking Points, good choice, too. Good morning, Sirhan Solo. Good morning to you. Good morning, Boomer Sooner, saying feed the kitties fun, $2. I will give them a nice can of food after this. They will appreciate that they will not starve due to Boomer Sooner's efforts. Thank you. Good morning, Alien Big Cat. I don't think I said good morning to you. Maybe I did. I don't know. Tom33 asking if the new graphic has the bowl cut. Yes, it does. I don't really know how to show it to you with it like cut off. Let me see. Actually, I bet I can show you the full thing. Actually, here you go. Yeah. Let's I'll show it to you like this. Actually, I have a way to show it to you fully. Give me 1 second. Here you go. There you go. Here's the full version of it for those who want to see the full one. Here you go. There you go. Ta-da. There's the full version. So yes, it has got the bowl cut. So I think it looks nice. It looks nice. You know, no complaints. I think I look quite dapper. Quite dapper. Okay, let's keep moving. Man, oh damn it, the chat just bumped it way back. Give me a second. Let me scroll back. Okay, here we go. Good morning, Bug Fights. Good morning. Good morning, Fire Pixie saying love this country. I know, right? Isn't it beautiful? I do love this country as well. Good morning, Schiller Spirit. Good morning. Good morning, John Black. Good morning. Everyone say thank you to John Black for no ads today. Thank you. Good morning, Rabadi Sahi. So, bro, I swear you got your finger on the pulse of society's vagina. I sure do. John Black asked if I went on mute. I don't think I did. I think I did all right. I think I made it. I don't think I had any. I had like a mute for like a second, but I caught it immediately. So we're good. Let me see. Good. Fendelander says maybe him fucking dude's wife is the whole reason he was raided. Perhaps. I would like to hear more about that. That's for sure. I hope he fucked his wife, honestly. Good Good morning, Tyler Yonke. Says I really need to get caught up with Afro Man trial. Yes, that would be a good podcast. That'd be a good content for you. That's for sure. Right up your alley in the legal lane. I guess apparently Tyler's also saying he was at the LP National Convention. I did not know that, but that totally tracks. We got people in chat looking forward to your legal breakdown of Afro Man fucking this guy's wife. Let me see who else we got. Good morning, Marnimac. Good to see you here. Rolled in as one of the last people in the chat there. So good morning, good morning before we go to the next segment. All right, let's get into foreign policy to start off. I guess this I almost covered this in the the icebreaker stuff because this is ridiculous, but I got to mention it at some point. Here's Carolyn Leavitt, the mouth of Sauron. I mean Trump. She says, Ben Shapiro praises Trump's Iran strikes as single bravest foreign policy move of my lifetime. And this is actually, she's sharing a Fox News article of the same title as what she captioned there. So ridiculous. This is where they're at now. Which is nuts they even made an article out of that. Like, how are you making a whole article out of Ben Shapiro says this was cool? Surprise, surprise. We're all shocked. Moving on, Trump says NATO making a very foolish mistake for not joining war against Iran. So, I guess continuing a little bit on the whole idea of the rest of the world saying, "No, that's your war. I know this is a whole world war you guys are working on, but us at the world don't want to get into it. So maybe it'll just be a Middle East war since everyone else seems to be not to want to have shit to do with this." And even then, I don't know, that might shake out to where a lot of those Middle East people kind of go, just kidding. I don't want to do this. So Trump on Tuesday criticized U.S.'s NATO allies, saying they were making a very foolish mistake for not entering the U.S. Israeli war against Iran, as his calls for other countries to send warships to open the Strait of Hormuz have been rejected. NATO's making a very foolish mistake. I've long said whether or not they'd be there for us, and this was a great test, the president told reporters. Earlier in the day, Trump said in a post on Truth Social that he'd been informed by most of our NATO allies that they don't want to get involved with our military operation against the terrorist regime of Iran in the Middle East. While lamenting to NATO's unwillingness to join the war, the president insisted he doesn't need them or any of the U.S. allies in the Asia-Pacific, claiming that the U.S. Israeli bombing campaign was decimated, or has decimated Iran's military. Says, because of the fact that we have had such military success, we no longer need or desire, I don't even want you here, the NATO countries' assistance. We don't even desire. He's so petty. We never did. Maybe if you said need, you could bullshit. I'd still think it's bullshit, but the desire one is where you're taking it too far. Likewise, Japan, Australia, or South Korea, Trump said, in fact, speaking as president of the United States of America, by far the most powerful country in the world, we do not need the help of anyone. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Strait of Hormuz remains closed to virtually all ships, except for a few that have made the transit with Iran's permission. Oil prices jumped on Tuesday when your senior Iranian officials said that the strait would remain closed, and gas prices in the U.S. continued to rise. And the nationwide average of gas in the U.S. rising at $3.79 per gallon, and nearly 30% increase since March 1st. Sound off in the chat. Let me know where you guys' gas is at. I'm curious. Mine's right at $3.99. That's what I'm seeing. It seems like everyone's hesitant to go past that 4 mark, but it seems like everyone near me is holding at $3.99. Looks like the Trump administration got a big one. They killed one of Iran's top national security officials. Oh, actually, no, that wasn't us. That was Israel. So it was an Israeli strike. And who would have thought? This probably will not make things better. So let's go through this a little bit. Who is this guy, and why is this making things worse? Iran on Tuesday confirmed that Ali Larijani, the head of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, was killed by an overnight Israeli strike, the most significant Iranian leader to be assassinated since Khamenei was killed in the opening strikes of the war. After a lifetime of striving for the elevation of Iran and the Islamic Revolution, he finally reached his long-cherished wish, answered the call of truth, and proudly attained the blessed rank of martyrdom in the service front. The Supreme National Security Council said in a statement carried by Iran's Mehr news agency. Iran's Press TV reported that Larijani was killed alongside his son, Morteza Larijani, and the head of his office, Alireza Bayat, as well as several bodyguards. Earlier in the day, Israel Katz, the Israeli defense minister, said that Larijani and Gholam Reza Soleimani, the head of the IRGC volunteer Basij force, were eliminated by overnight Israeli strikes. Iran has also confirmed that Soleimani was killed. The killing of 2 senior Iranian officials has not slowed Iran's military operations as drone and missile attacks continue across the region following the assassinations. Trita Parsi, an Iran expert and executive vice president of the Quincy Institute, said in a post on X that he saw 3 potential motives for the Israeli killing of Larijani, including eliminating potential off-ramps for President Trump to end the war, as Larijani was previously in favor of negotiations and de-escalation. So, all right, in short here, before I guess we lay out all of it, the biggest thing is this guy is one of the few people who would actually have been open to working with us in possibly coming to some sort of diplomatic solution. So he was one of the more rational heads. So once again, just like we did with Khamenei, where he's dead, and now the other Khamenei, who's a little bit more hardcore, is in there. Same deal. So further away, even now, from anything. Which I know all the Zionists are probably, ooh, we killed the big one. You're like, okay. Well, this literally just makes things worse. And looks like our Navy's struggling a little bit, having some carrier problems. I guess a little bit of follow-up, too, sort of. I don't think we actually covered this on this show. I think we may have mentioned in passing, maybe on Already Dead or something. But there was this story of a fire on the USS Gerald Ford, the aircraft carrier. And that was one of the ones that Trump, in recent talks, kind of straight up said it was like fake news of some sort. I forget exactly how he framed it, but kind of the implication is like that's made up. That's bullshit. Well, it's looking like it's not. It's looking like that's not bullshit, and so okay. I thought there was like a small grain of truth to Trump being like, "Oh, fake news," but not looking that way. But the Gerald Ford, which is currently deployed in the Middle East amid the U.S. and Israeli war, is expected to return to NATO's naval base on Crete next week. Catherine Marini understands. It's returning for refueling, but also for an investigation into the large fire that broke out aboard the vessel on March 12th, according to a source. The New York Times reported the fire started in the ship's main laundry area on Thursday. By the time it was over, more than 600 sailors and crew members had lost their beds and have since been debunking down on floors and tables, the officials said. The aircraft carrier is now entering its 10th month of deployment, the report said, adding that crew members have been told that their deployment will probably be extended into May, which would put them in an entire year at sea, twice the length of a normal aircraft carrier deployment. Catherine Marini understands that one scenario being examined is that the blaze may have been deliberately caused by crew members to terminate their extended mission. The vessel spent 4 days at the Ceuta base on Crete last February resupplying before heading for the Eastern Mediterranean, which is important because these carriers are like a huge strategic thing like in that area. This allows them to kind of have a off-ramp for jets, for fighter jets, all sorts of things. I mean, you can even look at this picture. You can see all the planes on it. So, I mean, these are super clutch. Like, I'm pretty sure the Ford had to have been moved. I think that was the one that was the reason why it's been at sea for so fucking long. Because I believe it was maybe like the Gulf. I don't know exactly where the fuck it was, but kind of more near South America. I think it was, stationed, or not stationed. It was positioned in a kind of nearby with all the Venezuela stuff going on a while back. So these, like, people have this idea that we have like this unlimited infinite military or something, but there are certain things that there's a more of a limited amount of. And so this is why, like with carriers, this is kind of one of them. This is why they had to, like, we've kind of had major, how do I put this, major military moves going on quite a bit for a long time. We had the Venezuela stuff. I mean, hell, I'm sure they probably even were positioned with the first 12-day war. They may have even, I don't know if they had carriers in place then. But my point being is, it's like we're doing all these major, military upheavals and there's lots of shit going on, and eventually, the rubber meets the road, and people are people. They're not able to do it, and so now we have people setting fires possibly in these ships so that they can get back, and this could actually put a dent in their capabilities. Now, I'm by no means a Navy man, a seaman, so I don't really know the extent. I just know it is a big deal, and we have a limited amount. While they're running these people ragged, and these people do not seem to want to have anything to do with it, is what it looks like. Moving on, it looks like we have a UK security advisor that's saying, as we've had reports to this in the past, it's looking like it was looking like the deal was basically done. That like they were kind of had met this like cracking point to where like, oh shit, something might happen. They're making some pretty big concessions right here, the Iranians. And then boom. So kind of, once again, a repeat of the 12-day war where the same thing happened, where it's like, oh, well, it looks like we may have some sort of a, diplomatic window here, some major concessions being made, and then, just kidding, we're going to fucking kill you. So this is Jonathan Powell. So Britain's National Security Advisor, Jonathan Powell, attended the final talks between the U.S. and Iran and judged that the offer made by Tehran on its nuclear program was significant enough to prevent a rush to war, The Guardian can reveal. Powell thought progress had been made in Geneva in late February and that the deal proposed by Iran was surprising, according to sources. 2 days after the talks ended and after a date had been agreed for a further round of technical talks in Vienna, the U.S. and Israel launched the attack on Iran. Powell, present at the talks, and his close knowledge of how they were progressing was confirmed by 3 sources. One source said he was in the building at Oman's ambassadorial residence in Cologne, Geneva, acting as an advisor, reflecting widespread concern about the U.S. expertise on the talks represented by Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Steve Witkoff, Trump's special envoy on several issues. Kushner and Witkoff had invited the energy agency, the IAEA, to Geneva talks to provide technical expertise, though Kushner would later claim that he and Witkoff had a pretty deep understanding of the issues that matter in this. Nuclear experts would later say that Witkoff's pronouncements on the Iran nuclear program were riddled with basic errors. Powell has long experience as a mediator, and one source said Powell brought an expert from the UK cabinet office with him. One Western diplomat said Jonathan thought there was a deal to be done, but Iran were not quite there yet, especially in the issue of UN inspections of its nuclear sites. Former official was briefed on the Geneva talks by some of the participants said Witkoff and Kushner did not bring a U.S. technical team with them. They used Grossi as their technical expert, but that's not his job. So Jonathan Powell took his own team. The UK team were surprised by what the Iranians put on the table, the former official added. It was not a complete deal, but it was progress and was unlikely to be the Iranians' final offer. The British team expected the next round of negotiations to go ahead on the basis of the progress in Geneva. So I guess maybe not as much to war. Moving on, apparently we have reports that the U.S. is pressing Syria to invade Lebanon, which I think they've kind of made overtures that they'd be open to helping in some way, shape, or form, but it's sounding like this may be perhaps a bridge too far. So U.S.-Israeli war against Iran is already expanding into Lebanon with a ground invasion of southern Lebanon from Israel. But Reuters is now reporting the Trump administration is keen to drag Syria in the conflict as well, encouraging its Islamist government to invade Lebanon and fight Hezbollah. Citing multiple Syrian officials familiar with the situation, as well as Western diplomats, the report is that the U.S. began pushing this idea roughly when the Iran war began. U.S. officials have been denouncing Lebanon as a failed state for months and have cheered the Israeli invasion, targeting Shiite Hezbollah as an Iranian ally. Given the Sunni Islamist Syrian Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, the government's presumptive hostility toward Hezbollah as well, officials seem to believe this would be a great chance to solicit Syria as an ally for their growing regional war. The HTS, however, is said to be reluctant to get involved in an invasion of Lebanon, not wanting to see themselves get dragged into an unpopular sectarian war that set the region on fire in recent weeks. That perhaps is unsurprising, as Syria is still in the process of rebuilding after a protracted civil war and maybe isn't yet styling itself as a conquering regional power the way the U.S. seems to have hoped. U.S. envoy Tom Barak has suggested as far back as July that if Lebanon didn't give in to demands to entirely dismantle Hezbollah, Israel and Syria would jointly invade and conquer Lebanon overnight. Lebanese officials objected to the U.S. position that Lebanon should be annexed into Syria and/or Israel, and Syrian officials say they have provided assurances to the Lebanese state that they will only take defensive actions as necessary and with respect for Lebanese sovereignty. So, So looking like they're trying to drag Syria in. I mean, maybe it'll happen, maybe not. Looks like they're not so keen to join in as well. And then we got 2 more airstrikes in Somalia. So you'd think they'd slow down the murder over there. Not quite. We're up to 46 now. And then moving back to Israel, they killed 3 Palestinians in southern Gaza. So the murder goes on. Wonderful. The report said the Israeli strike targeted a vehicle in the Al-Mawasi tent camp in southern Gaza, and that a child was among those killed in the strike. According to Turkey's Anadolu agency, the child was 14 years old. So more murder, and it's not even the worst yet. Over in the West Bank, they're out here raping people. Which, I mean, whatever. I guess that's what they do over there. They just rape. Israeli settlers sexually assaulted Palestinian man in Jordan Valley, witnesses said. So yeah, settlers who raided Kirbet Humsa, a Palestinian community in the northern Jordan Valley, over the weekend severely sexually assaulted a man in front of his family, according to witnesses. Wild. Testimonies say the settlers also beat girls and teenage girls in the community, and one of them threatened to kill the children and rape the women. 4 men from the community and 2 female human rights activists were evacuated for medical treatment. Haaretz has learned that Shin Bet is involved in investigating the incident. Now, I do have to point out, so I don't know what to make of this, but I do find it bizarre. But I mean, I guess maybe I can't. Maybe I'm just not really good at like identifying with the mindset of rapists or something. But I just find it very bizarre to be like, I'm going to attack this whole area with men, women, and children in it, and do all sorts of crazy violence. But me and my homies, we're gonna pull out a dude and rape him. You're like, if rape's already on the table, why are you raping dudes? What? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not supporting rape. I'm not saying you should rape. Rape is bad, to be very clear. But if we're in rape territory, I mean, I guess, are they just all that gay? Like, what is going on? I mean, obviously, this is awful. This is one of the worst things that you just get raped in front of your family. Oh my God, absolutely awful. And obviously, I guess I'd rather be raped than like one of my like wife or kids. But like, there's something weirdly going on in the minds of like, why'd you? I'd be very confused if like, say some people came in with guns and then they like fucking tied down my whole family and they're like, we're gonna rape you. I mean, like, obviously I don't think I'd protest. I'd have to take it because it's just like I'm the man and like I'd rather that happen to me than that. But like in my head, I'd be like, what the fuck? What is this? Like, what a weird situation. What? Like, you have other rape victims you could take. Like, I know, it's just weird. Obviously, it's just a weird thing in my mind. I guess, just what a bizarre world they're living in over there. I mean, I guess from a dominance perspective, I guess if it is just like a dominance thing, I guess that makes sense. But man, that's weird. It's weird. Residents of Kirbet Humsa who were present during the attack, along with a human rights activist who was with them, described Haaretz what they said was a severe series of abuses lasting about an hour. According to their raids, the raid began around 1 a.m. when dozens of mass settlers arrived. Several testimonies indicate that the settlers split into groups from 3 to 6 assailants and simultaneously stormed structures throughout the community. So wonderful, wonderful stuff. So here's one person's account. She said, I woke up to the settlers shout. They slapped me and dragged us outside, bound us, tore off my head covering, and ripped some of my clothes. A woman from the community testified. They pulled the girls out and beat them, even the little ones. They mocked us and celebrated our humiliation. So another day of violence in Gaza and in the West Bank. So nothing new. Nothing new under the sun here. All right, let's roll the chat, say some more good mornings, and then we'll get into the second major topic of the day, the Pedostate Empire. So let's roll and say goodbye. Daz out of here. He says, got to drive home and cook tea. Catch you all later. See you, Daz. Appreciate you joining us. Who else we got to say good mornings to? John Black says, put a Tyler on. I'd be down to have Tyler back on. I don't know when works for him. He lives over on the other coast, so his hours are weird. So he does have a real job, so he doesn't always. But yeah, I mean, he's always welcome to, if he's available around the time I'm going to go live. He's always welcome to join. I see everyone's chiming in on their amount. $379 for Tom. Okay, Martin Max saying $389 in Denver. Okay. As Iran tried to build a wall, says John Black. Still under 3 in Northwest Arkansas. Holy shit, Fendelander. That's impressive. Nice, good for you. More money from Boomer Sooner. Keep feeding me, buddy. Says feed those fucking cats, man. Fake aggression, hippie voice. Appreciate it, dude. Appreciate the support. And you know what? He really doesn't like you guys. He's still, despite doing 2 super chats, and mentioned not a word about ads. So, fuck you, guys. We're playing ads tomorrow. Good morning, Qbert. Good morning. Good morning, Shy You Own. Good morning. Boomer Senior says Stephen Miller's name has been out of the headlines during this term. It's true. He has been somehow. He was like the great evil not too long ago in the administration, and now he's just kind of gone to the wayside a little bit. So interesting. Boomer says, although Stephen Miller and Jared Kushner have been involved in foreign affairs, noticing. Yup. Sirhan says the USS Ford toilets keep overflowing and it costs $400,000 each time they have to flush out the pipes. That's wonderful. That completely checks with the military. Northside. I don't think it's the first time I've seen. Good morning, Northside. I think it might be the first time I've seen you in the chat this morning. Maybe not. I don't know. I said raping is the IDF calling card. Yeah. Power dynamics of Cheyenne. Yeah, it is weird. Very, very bizarre. Hubert says I viciously raped Meat Cavern in Leesburg during the Bro Grove event last June. Well, that's what boys be doing, you know. Good morning, Billy McCobb says good morning, Dumpers. Good morning to you. Tyler says he found a news article with Afro Man and also that Clinton mentioned it. That's cool. I don't get mentioned any of those cool things, but I don't go into gay shit like that. Good morning, Rocky Biz says good morning from X. Thank you. Thank you for the good morning. Love you, brother. All right, let's get into the Pedostate Empire. Let's get into our second major topic of the day. I guess to start it off, here is Katie Miller. It's funny when you guys were mentioning Stephen Miller a little bit ago. This is his wife, which I'll admit, she's pretty fucking cute, but she's also intensely retarded. Which I guess that's how that goes. You know, yin and yang. And let's be real, you look at Stephen Miller and you're like, oh, you see him with a cutie in his arm and you're like, I bet you she is a fucking nightmare. Like, there's no way with a fucking gremlin like Stephen Miller and he pulls a cutie pie that she isn't just an absolute horrid to be with. Like, I don't know. That's my perspective, I guess. I can't let the J get the girl in my eyes. You know what I mean? It's not cool. Not cool. The bad guy doesn't win here. So she's got to be awful. Although she is awful. I'm being silly. I mean, we've seen clips of it, but a lot of you guys may not realize this, but she has her own podcast. That's a thing now. The administration, the establishment has leaked into the podcast game. I mean, we got the Bonginos out there as well, but we also got the Katie Millers. So she is kind of like the go-to podcaster when it comes to any administration folks. If they need a patty cakes interview that's really easy, that's no pushback questions whatsoever, that's who they go to. She is the broad. She's the one who did that interview with Kash Patel, where he had his girlfriend with her. I think there's a few other major ones she's done as well. But here is her with Todd Blanche, who is he's like the deputy whatever over the DOJ or something. He's like the number 2 man over the DOJ. He's like right under Pam Bondi. And looks like they're still maintaining the company line on that old Epstein list. So let's listen to what all he's got to say about it.
As I've said, I'm the biggest conspiracy theorist you'll ever find. So when the Epstein story exploded, people online immediately connected it to the Pizzagate conspiracy theory about elite child trafficking rings. Did investigators check for any connection between Epstein and the Pizzagate controversy?
Well, when you say did investigators track, the Pizzagate conspiracy theory has been debunked repeatedly by law enforcement, not by me, by law enforcement. And I know that there's been a fair amount of searches around those certain terms.
Sure, it was totally debunked. And then you look at what happened with Epstein, where a wealthy, well-connected...
Look at, I'm the biggest conspiracy theorist. Like almost tripping over herself. Like, it's totally debunked. Like as soon as she gets the cue. Okay, let's keep going.
Man was actually trafficking underage girls in elite circles. And then you begin to think, maybe things aren't a real conspiracy theory.
Well, but again, the only thing we can do in conspiracy theory, Katie, is investigate. Okay, so it's easy to say on X or to say, I think there's an issue here, but how do we, let's investigate. So we investigated all the times that the certain buzzwords associated with Pizzagate were in the Epstein files, and you can do the same thing. And users
I've read all the pages.
And many of those, at least as far as my understanding is of the conspiracy theory, don't line up with the conspiracy theory at all. If all of them, frankly. But so I'm not sure. I am aware that the word pizza is in the Epstein files, among other things.
Whoa, is he being for real? He's seriously saying the word pizza is. Let's back that up because that is an astounding thing to say. Because it is. It's like a lot in there. Let's back. Did he really just say? Let's play this.
If all of them, frankly. But so I'm not sure. I am aware that the word pizza is in the Epstein files, among other things.
Let's back that up more because maybe I missed some context there. Because what an insane thing to say.
Can do the same thing. And users.
I've read all the pages.
And many of those, at least as far as my understanding is of the conspiracy theory, don't line up with the conspiracy theory at all. If all of them, frankly. But so I'm not sure. I am aware that the word pizza is in the Epstein files, among other things.
I'm not sure that I'm aware that the word pizza is in the. Are you? What kind of weird? I'm trying to even wrap my head around what he's even saying, because he gives credence to it. I want to back. Let's back up a little bit more because I'm like, what is he? That is an insane thing to say. Is he really claiming ignorance of not knowing that pizza was mentioned numerous times in there and that people have said it? Because he seemed to show some level of familiarity of what people are talking about with weird code words and stuff. Maybe I misinterpreted what he was saying there, but then he kind of then lands. With his landing kind of ends at like claiming ignorance as to any of that. That's insane. Let's do that again.
Think maybe things aren't a real conspiracy theory.
Well, but again, the only thing we can do in a conspiracy theory, Katie, is investigate. Okay, so it's easy to say on X or to say, I think there's an issue here, but how do we, let's investigate. So we investigated all the times that the certain buzzwords associated with Pizzagate
we investigate all the times the certain buzzwords associated with Pizzagate. So he starts this off with, we investigated this, and all the certain words. Okay. All right, let's keep going.
In the Epstein files, and you can do the same thing. And users.
I've read all the pages.
And many of those, at least as far as my understanding is of the conspiracy theory, don't line up with the conspiracy theory at all. If all of them, frankly. But so I'm not sure. I am aware that the word pizza is in the Epstein files, among other things.
Does a client list?
Maybe okay. He just said I'm not sure, and then he said so. Maybe there's like a comma or a period in there. And maybe I'm being focused far too much into that. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what he's saying there. Maybe he's saying that he is aware that it's in there. That's because it doesn't even make. Like, I get it. These guys are bold-faced liars, but that'd be an insane lie. So I don't know what. Maybe he's saying that. Maybe I don't know. I really think maybe that like not sure accidentally got thrown in there from like the previous sentence he was saying maybe, and it accidentally kind of got like almost run-on sentenced into the other one, and that's why I'm interpreting it that way. But okay, let's finish this clip instead of like hyper-analyzing that, because I don't. Maybe he'll repeat himself, and I'll be like, "Holy shit, he really is saying that." Let's keep going.
Exist? Is
a
the government
list,
does an Epstein client list exist, and is the government in possession of it?
No, listen. Everything. I can ask you the same question, right? Because everything's been released. So there's what's commonly referred to as the client list. If I were speculating, is the black book that has been released for years and years and years that was basically Epstein's address book. There was a list of masseuses. It's not a client list, obviously. A lot of those women were actually victims. That exists, but I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't know what a client list is, and I'm not trying to be naive, but what would a client list consist of? You mean a list of Mr. Epstein's, the people he was supposedly blackmailing? Is it people that were his business clients, his personal clients? But no, I have not seen such a list.
I will give him with that one. That's fair. I do think I'm not aware of something that you would call a client list that it's presented itself, nor am I even really sure that there is one per se. I mean, I guess I wouldn't be like astounded if Epstein had like created something like that, but I do doubt it. Now, I mean, obviously I do think like perhaps there could be something that's like a Epstein client list that's like what the DOJ maybe put together in their own research of what they consider to be the client list, but that would be different than I think what most people are understanding to be the client list. So fair enough for Todd Blanche.
Another theory is that Epstein is well connected to foreign intelligence services. Do you have any evidence of him being a spy or a plant for another foreign country?
No, there's no evidence of that. And we did look at that extensively.
That is insane. That's insane. That's insane, which I guess you can get away with it, but I mean, we've covered extensively on Drop Site News. I kind of wish I almost want to go hunt back through my bookmarks. There's one where like I just hadn't had a chance to cover in the show that if I'd known they were going down this route, I would have probably included in my presentation here. But I know there's like one where he was like working on like some sort of Libyan something or other on behalf of Israel. But Drop Site News has covered like it dropped like the whole handfuls of breaking, pieces that really, I mean, hell, what did he have? Ehud Barak's security individuals essentially bugged his house. Ehud Barak was staying there regularly. I mean, there were multiple like Iran-Contra agents that were staying at his place. It's an insane thing to say. It really is. Some of the stuff he was setting up for Israel over in Africa. I mean, I don't know. Whoa.
Not only this administration, but every administration that's been involved in Epstein could look at that, and there's no evidence that he was associated with, well, let me just not say there's no evidence. The evidence that people say exists does not.
Okay, the evidence that people say exists. Okay, so now he's hedging it.
Not point to him being any part of foreign intelligence. Now,
So the evidence that does exist does not point to him being any part of intelligence. Now, this is the weasel words right here, because to be fair, I from my impression of the stuff I have read and seen and whatever, I actually think like he probably wasn't some sort of like official like, hello, I'm a member of Unit 8200, or I'm part of Mossad, or I'm part of the Shin Bet, or whatever different intelligence agency. I wouldn't be like he's like this supra government essentially. He is this. This is this like, for example, like what I always try to explain, like you guys. I don't know if you guys remember when I talked about like the Temple of Set and like how like if you look at it and you understand how it's structured, it almost seems like a subscription you can get into, like a magazine if you want to be part of some club and that offers certain things. So it's almost as if when you dig into this game that there are these actors out there that tap into this this network, I guess, and then they become individual actors within it, like almost this like government above the government. And there are different secret societies, there are different intelligence networks with, et cetera, that they get tapped into. And essentially they're kind of like above it. Like they're who intelligence agencies come to for X, Y, and Z. Like they're the independent actors. They're the magicians of the world.
As I will say repeatedly, I did not know Epstein.
So yeah, point being is like that's I think the wiggle there is that he was not part of whatever. It does not necessarily mean he was part of an intelligence agency, and that's true. I guess depending on how you define part.
I was not part of those investigations, so I'm answering answering your question based upon what I know, based upon my investigation as a Deputy Attorney General for the past, 11 months or so. So, but from what I have seen in the files and from what I understand happened during all the investigations, there's zero evidence of that.
All right. Okay. So that's what Todd Blanche is saying. No evidence of intelligence being part of intelligence. I don't think he said intelligence connections, to be fair. So denying a client list, which sure, whatever. Pizzagate dismissed it as fully debunked, which, okay, I don't know. I mean, let's be real. That kind of felt like, let's be real. Well, I think there is more to the Pizzagate. I really do feel like Katie Miller bringing it up in this context was more of like let me give you something easy to from there then kind of roll into the other things, because that way you're like, let's be real. If you are evaluating this, like, there's two ways to look at when someone says, oh, do you think this could have something to do with Pizzagate? There's two ways to look at Pizzagate. There's the establishment way of looking at Pizzagate, where it's this hyper-specific thing, like something to do with whatever. Like, this is a specific, this, and this. It must have these specific elements to be legit. Whereas, I don't know, I think most of us out there, we think of Pizzagate and we think of it more of like, I don't know, more of a amorphous type thing. A more of like a just kind of blend. Like this doesn't have to have these specific elements, but there are definitely these sinister individuals that are doing awful things, and they may be operating out of pizza places. And honestly, to the Pizzagate, there's a lot to the whole Olephantis and whatever type stuff. A lot of weird shit going on there, but it always gets mired down into the establishment of these hyper-specific claims, and they're like, well, this didn't happen. And you're like, okay. So essentially, they're just engaging with the over-the-top spook stuff, and so that's what they mean when they say Pizzagate. And so this is why it's like this perfect little starter for a situation like this, where you're like, especially you're like, oh, I'm so conspiratorial, but this one, that's crazy, right? Oh, yeah, that is crazy. And then they talk about the other things, and when you downplay them, it doesn't sound as crazy because you already kind of eased into it with the first one, that everyone kind of just nodded and go, yeah. Even somebody like me, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I mean, I think the pizza thing was a little bit dodgy, but whatever. All right, moving on. Here's a little update on what's going on with the Oversight Committee stuff. Apparently, Representative James Comer is bringing in Tova Noel, which is one of the guards that was on duty when Epstein died. This is the one we covered last week. The one who had the weird transactions going on. She was driving a nice-ass Range Rover. She's searching Epstein like minutes before he was discovered dead multiple times. I think there's some other weirdness with her. So she's being brought. She'll be, 6 days from now? So about a week or so from now, we'll be probably covering this. So next week, we should be hopefully covering the talks between the Oversight Committee and one of the guards. This will be a transcribed interview. Hopefully they end up releasing videos like they have the other ones, but we'll see. Moving on, this is just a quick little one to go into. I just thought it was a weird, an odd story that I should mention. There's a former Kansas City area pastor that was suspended after the church learned she managed Epstein's private island. Former North Kansas City and Lee's Summit pastor was suspended last week after discovered she worked and managed the private island of late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein for nearly a year. On Thursday, March 12th, Bishop Robert Farr of the Missouri Conference of the United Methodist Church placed Reverend Stephanie L. Remington on leave pending review by the Episcopal Office, which, why you got ladies be doing pastoring anyways. That ain't in the good book, and I'm not even religious, and I know that. Remington reportedly worked as Epstein's administrative assistant and temporary property manager of his private island, Little St. James, from August 2018 to May 2019. Epstein was arrested just 2 months later, on July 19th, for sex trafficking crimes and then found dead in his cell by alleged suicide in August. Despite having worked closely with a disgraced financier, Remington told the United Methodist News that she never saw Epstein or anyone commit abuse on the island. However, she did admit that she knew Epstein was a registered sex offender and he had served 18 months for soliciting prostitution from a minor when she accepted the job. I never saw anything, Remington told the publication. I knew him for the last 9 months of his life, well after he served time for the things that he was accused of doing. It was later discovered that her name appears in approximately 1,800 documents of the Epstein files of the U.S. Department of Justice website. Many of the files are emails that discuss her day-to-day work operations, UM News reported. No, I mean, there's not anything I really substantive to there. I just more just thought this was kind of funny, the idea that like you could be at church and then be like one of your pastors be like, holy shit, she's in 1,800 documents in the Epstein files. She's not been accused of any crime. Apparently the suspension is temporary. Church leaders reported they were only recently made aware of Remington's ties to Epstein, did not know of her previous employment. Missouri Conference had no knowledge of the individual's association with Mr. Epstein. Clergy is serving extension ministry, operate outside a local church appointment, and report their ministry setting through annual paperwork submitted to the conference, Missouri Conference said. No information indicating this association was disclosed in any of these reports. The bishop or district superintendent were not contacted about the individual's interest in or acceptance of the Epstein-related position. Before working for Epstein, she served as a pastor and associate pastor of several churches across Missouri from 2001 to about 2018. Her employment history included 2 churches in the Kansas City metro, the First United Methodist Church in North Kansas, and the Summit United Methodist Church in Lee's Summit. According to the Missouri Conference, though, Remington claimed in her annual paperwork that she'd performed extension ministry to the Lewis Center for Church Leadership at Wesley Theological Seminary during the time she worked for Epstein and as recently as 2025. However, as part of her early review process, it discovered that Remington had not worked for the Wesley Theological Seminary for all of the years she claimed, having been appointed as a part-time contractor in only 2017 and 2018. So it sounds like she cooked the books. I mean, I don't know the specific of what it takes to be clergy, if maybe there's certain like qualifications or seminaries you need to attend, but looks like she straight up lied. So I guess they added that into there. That's why, that's part of why they suspended her. When they started digging into all this stuff, they also found that she was bullshitting about her records. So thought that was a little bit interesting, but nowhere near as interesting as what we're about to go into, and definitely nowhere near as dark. We're getting into the weeds here. Apparently, we got a daughter of the Israeli Minister of Settlements that claims that she was abused by her parents. Surprise, surprise. So let's dig a little bit into this story, and it gets even darker. So let's watch this.
היי, אני שושנה סטרוק, גדלתי ביישוב.
So she's, hi, I'm Shoshana Stock, which I don't know why those came off as English, but this is in, I believe in whatever the hell they speak over there. So it's like, grew up in the Jewish settlement of Hebron, starting from the age 2.5. My parents took me to pedophile ceremonies, in which I've been programmed, trained, using drugs, hypnosis, using sexual abuse. And basically, they've created in me different parts, different identities. When I was 13, my father started pimping me in Tel Aviv, made money off my back. The abuse continued until a much older age. Basically, what happened now is that even though I've already published it and told my story, my father keeps perpetrating against me. He came to my apartment. I've rented a place on my own. I stayed there alone. He came to the apartment and abused me again. He also brought another person with him who he is training to become my next handler after my father will pass away. Because this is how it works. They pass it from generation to generation. The abuse, the pimping, the sexual exploitation of kids, the sexual exploitation of women. Since the last assault, I left my apartment. I have no home. For now, I found few good people who are housing me, each for a couple of days, but I have no way of financing myself. So I'm dealing with dissociative identity disorder. It's called DID. I'm in a very difficult mental condition, and there's a real danger that I'll end up in the streets. I think it's very important to help me so I could receive mental support, so I could have financial security, so I could have peace of mind, so I could have people helping me, so I could have physical security, so they would be abusing me. I'd really appreciate any support so I could to fulfill my dream and help also other women who have been ritually abused. Indeed, I'm currently in a difficult situation, but I have a master's degree in psychology and I have a dream to help other people who have survived being ritually abused. I'd appreciate any help. Thank you. So, dark stuff. yeah. And more on this. Here's a Parapower Mapping. It says, excerpts of the section in my essay from last September that deals with the above Shoshana Strook case and other allegations of Israel ritual child abuse rings. So you can read it on Parapower Mapping at Patreon and Substack. So he's written all about this. We won't dig into this today. You guys could dig this into your own. Some specifics. Maybe we'll go into this later. Let us know if you want me to dig even deeper into this, and we'll. But we still have more to go on here because the story goes further. Apparently, looks like she's supposedly dead. Here's from Parapower Mapping. He shared a post. It says, Shoshana Strook found dead. Daughter of Israeli minister Orit Strook, who suffered years of systematic ritualistic sexual abuse since the age of 2.5, led by her father and prominent Rabbi Zavi Thau, was just reported to have committed suicide. A month, and it kind of cuts off after being once again, I'm assuming, I don't know. And here is Kalani saying, a reminder that at least one other Strook sibling is in the business of sexually humiliating and beating bloody West Bank children and traumatizing them by forcing them to watch animal abuse. This is from a thread of his back in 2024. So Orit Strook's son Zivi was found guilty by Israeli courts of kidnapping a handcuffed Palestinian minor, beating him bloody, running over him with an ATV, pissing on him, and murdering his goat. Orit accused the Arab boy of framing her son. That's the Minister of Settlements for you. In this, here's a picture of him. And then here's the article from Haim Levinson. The sentence of a settler who abused a Palestinian was extended by a year. So the Supreme Court today extended by a year the prison sentence of Zavi Strook from the Esh Kadesh outpost near Shiloh, who was convicted of severely abusing a Palestinian minor 5 years ago. Strook was convicted in 2011 in the Jerusalem District Court and sentenced to 18 months in prison. According to the verdict, in 2007, Strook arrived together with an unknown person on an ATV in the direction of a group of Palestinians from the village of Kasra. The two shot in the air and then beat a 15-year-old Palestinian in all parts of his body. After beating him, Strook and the unknown dragged the complainant as he was bleeding to the ATV. They forced the complainant with his hands behind his back, sat him between them with his face covered, and drove away. During the ride, the complainant was hit by... sorry, it cuts off weird. All right, whatever. You get the idea. We already talked about it. Sorry, it cuts off all weird there. But yeah, so then one of her brothers is a fucking monster. So I don't know. The pattern seems legit. Let's move on to the next story. Let's see if you notice a pattern here. Let's take a little bit of a side detour to look at one of the familial relations of one of the debunkers out here. I don't know if you guys are if it's familiar. He's not quite on the level of a Michael Tracy in the debunking world, but we got Richard Hanania here. He tweeted last month, hating Epstein represents the essence of anti-Semitism, the resentment of mediocrities, conspiracy thinking, and chud moralism. Oh, yeah. Well, here's a fun little factoid from the Fight Back podcast. It's actually Jake Shields' producer. Cool guy. So this guy's brother literally killed dogs for fun, by the way. I think he's referring to his brother, although let's be real. I don't know, maybe he got on the fun too. So he shared this article. It says, a suburban Chicago man... Oh, this guy's brother literally killed dogs for fun, by the way. A suburban Chicago man who posed as the owner of two small dogs paid a reward to the person who found them and then threw them off the top of a 5-story garage has been sentenced to prison after pleading guilty to animal cruelty charges. The Tinley Park Daily Southtown reports 23-year-old Edward Hanania of Oak Lawn was sentenced Friday to 5 years in prison for felony aggravated animal cruelty and 6 years in prison for violating his probation on an unrelated drug conviction. The two sentences will run concurrently, Cook County State Attorney's Office spokeswoman Tandra Simonton said. Prosecutors said Hanania obtained the dogs by responding to a Facebook ad from someone who had found the two toy poodles. They contend that Hanania, posing as the dog's owner, paid the person who found the dogs a reward and then drove them to the top of a parking garage at Advocate Christ Medical Center in Oak Lawn and then threw them to the ground. The paper reported that hospital surveillance video shows a man pulling the top of the parking deck, climbing from his car, looking over the ledge before walking to the vehicle before the animals were thrown to the ground. One of the dogs was killed. The others suffered broken legs but survived after undergoing surgery. So Richard Hanania's brother literally went online, bought dogs. It says posing as a dog's owner. He bought dogs that someone had found missing dogs. And just for funsies, went and dropped them off a roof. So these are I don't know, noticing any patterns. More on nudicing, the nudicing. Here's Clonnie Penn again saying, I fucking told y'all that Epstein was linked up with Chabad and St. Thomas. It says, here's an email from the Sirluchim Rabbi Fetterman that Chabad dispatched to the tropical isle offering to visit Little St. James. Remember how I also informed you all that his wife mysteriously drowned, which we'll talk about that here in a minute. So let's read this Epstein file. This is EFTA 01930621. It's from Rabbi Asher Fetterman to Jeffrey Epstein. So it's, Dear Mr. Jeffrey Epstein, my family and I live on island for the last 8.5 years. We run the local Chabad house as well as a Jewish welcome center in downtown. We have grown tremendously over the years and have touched tens of thousands of Jews visiting the island. We have an ongoing relationship and serve the majority of local Jews on the island as well. We are now embarking on a building campaign at the Jewish Community Campus. I have heard that you are an extremely generous individual. It would be my honor to meet with you when you have time and share with you our accomplishments and future plans. I can take a boat to Little James, or we can meet in STT. Please be in touch with me and make this your Jewish 6 project. It will bring you eternal nachas and meaningful joy. Thank you very much. Looking forward to hearing from you. Rabbi Asher Fetterman. Here's a picture of the guy and his family. Let's dig a little bit more into this. Here we go. Here on the wife thing. Here's Clonnie says, on my original thread, glomming onto how the Chabad house is located, a short boat ride from Little St. James. And he said, here's a tweet covering the tragic Kabbalah-infected drowning of Rabbi Fetterman's wife. It says, tragedy struck the family last year when the wife/Shlucha suffered a water incident while trying to save their drowning 4-month-old infant daughter who happened to be their 13th child. They both succumbed. Here's a picture of Hanya Fetterman. So drowning. So here she is with the baby. She said Hanya passed away at the age of 40 on Wednesday, February 8th, after battling for her life for more than 2 months. In the aftermath of a water accident, they claimed the life of her 4-month-old daughter, Shaturna, pulled out of the water and resuscitated after attempting to save her baby. She was flown to the mainland for the United States for emergency care. During the time that she lay hovering between life and death, countless people around the world increased in prayers, good deed, and Torah study in her merit. So we got this Chabad connection over here. And then even more so, another one, here's from Clonnie Penn. He says, holy fuck, a new Wired article that contains visualizations of a data broker's precise pings of Epstein clients' cell phone coordinates confirms that some of the Little St. James deviants came from and returned to the Chabad houses of the Virgin Islands. Is Clonnie vindicated once again? So you can see right here, here's a little diagram. Shows A, Chabad of the Virgin Islands. You can see A over there, and B, Chabad Lubavitch of the U.S. Virgin Islands. So you can see right over there. And then you can see where Little St. James is. So you can see, so it says near intelligence tract where visitors were observed 30 minutes before and after spending time on Little St. James. The resulting data shows the path visitors took to visit the island. So interesting stuff. Here you go. Here's a little excerpt from an article. It says, are there Lubavitcher Chassidim serving the Mossad? It says, this candid question was presented to Meir Dagan, the former director of the National Intelligence Agency of Israel, during a private meeting in Jerusalem on Tuesday. Dagan, who served under 3 prime ministers and was an officer in the Israeli Defense Forces, was chatting with donors following the inauguration of a new career development center for Frum Jews. During the conversation about the employment of Haredi Jews in the country's many security branches, Dagan was asked whether Lubavitchers serve in the Mossad. His reply, you'll be surprised to know how many Haredim serve in the Mossad. Dagan added that aside from the employment of Chassidim in a professional capacity, the Chabad organization provides spiritual assistance at Mossad's central command in Tel Aviv. Chabad gets a Yashar Koach, It's kudos, because thanks to them, the synagogue of Mossad command was renovated, and we now have a luxurious shul. As reported in the past, Dagon had a friendly relationship with Sluchim couple in Belarus when he underwent a successful liver. Okay, whatever. Now that's beside the point now. But a little bit of an implication that Chabad is a pretty common fixture in Mossad circles. And I figured, kind of once again, pattern recognition, noticing things, being a little bit of a noticer here, completely unrelated, right? No, just another little dot here. Here's R.J. Morrow, Toxic Tiramisu, with some excerpts into Frankism, Sabbateanism, Frankism. So I figured we'd take a little bit of a detour and dig into that. Completely unrelated, has nothing to do with this whatsoever, right? He says, Frankism taught that sin is necessary for redemption, pictured a parallel material world ruled by Big Brother, with demigods and demons, the biblical God as a sorcerer, the Jerusalem temple as a source of power magic, and aimed at becoming superhuman, seen later in Freemasonry/Mormonism. So let's dig through that, do a little bit of a digging into this literature. So the founder of the Frankists was a self-proclaimed successor of Zevi, named Jacob Frank, from 1726 to 1791, who rejected the Talmud in favor of Zohar, a foundational work in the literature of the Kabbalah. Written in 13th century Spain, Frank claimed to come to rid the world of the Talmud and Jewish law, a law he regarded as oppressive. Frank claimed instead that the redemption would be fulfilled through a reversal of the Torah, affirming that for the good Lord to appear, it would be necessary to precipitate chaos. As summarized by Abba Iban, Frank taught a strange idea that God would not send a Messiah into the world to become as evil as it could possibly be. So said Frank, it was his duty as a follower of Shabbatai Zevi to bring about a time of pure evil. Frank taught a doctrine of the holiness of sin, claiming that with the arrival of the Messiah, everything was permitted. Among the more radical Frankists, explained Gershom Scholem, there developed a veritable mythology of nihilism, in which the new messianic dispensation entailed a complete reversal of values symbolized by the change of the 36 prohibitions of the Torah into positive commands. So that's for those who understand, like the Christianity, like imagine the Old Testament, 10 commandments or whatever. Imagine them inverted. As Abraham Duker has pointed out, anti-Semitism was also characteristic among the Frankists, who rejected Orthodox Jews whom they resented for the persecution they were made to endure as heretics. The Frankists were also united by less positive aspects, namely dislike of the Jews who forced them into conversion and thus cut them off from their near and dear ones, as well as hatred of the Catholic clergy, which had its share in this drastic step. The task of raising a new generation under such condition of double Maranoism was indeed a difficult one and required much cooperation and closed-mouthedness. Kinship and the close social relations have made Frankism to a large extent a family religion that's continually been strengthened by marriage and by economic ties through concentration in certain occupations. As a consequence, the Congress of Rabbis and Brody excommunicated the Frankists and made it obligatory upon every pious Jew to seek them out and expose them. The Sabbateans informed Dembowski, the Catholic bishop of Kameneik Podolski, Poland. The bishop took Frank and his followers under his protection, and in 1757 arranged a religious disputation between them and the Orthodox rabbis. The bishop sided in favor of the Frankists and also ordered the burning of all copies of the Talmud in Poland. Most controversially, Frank denounced his fellow Jews as guilty of the infamous blood libel. That's interesting. Now we got factions of Jews accusing each other of blood libel. At this critical juncture, Frank proclaimed himself as direct successor to Sabbatai Zevi and assured his followers that he had received revelations from heaven, which called for their conversion to Christianity. The conversion, however, was to serve as a means to achieve Christianity's ultimate defeat, as revealed in the sayings of Jacob's Frank. Frank warned his followers of imminent and violent persecution and advised them of the need to adopt the religion of Edom, by which he meant Christianity, leading eventually to the adoption of a future religion called Das, which means knowledge, to be revealed by Frank. However, the Frankists continued to be viewed with suspicion, and Frank was arrested in Warsaw on February 6, 1760, and delivered to the church's tribunal, who convicted him of heresy and imprisoned him in the monastery of Czestochowa. When Czestochowa was captured by the Russians in 1772, After the first partition of Poland, Frank was freed and journeyed to Brunn in Moravia to the home of his cousin Shandol Dobroshka. Frank left Brunn in 1786 or 1787, and he and his followers settled in the unused castle in Offenbach belonging to the Prince Wolfgang Ernst II of Eisenberg-Burstein. And it likely through Masonic channels that Frank met the prince, who was a Rosicrucian and had numerous connections with Freemasons. The religious world of Jacob Frank is a bizarre hybrid of materialism, Gnosticism, and myth, even more fantastic than the religion Frank seeks to displace. It is populated by real physical beings with magical superpowers, ruled over not by the monotheistic God, but by three flawed gods identified by Frank with a Nephilim. Indeed, the God of the Bible did not even create it, exists together with a parallel universe behind the curtain, where Frank's counterpart, the Big Brother, leads a sect that has gained the secret of immortality. Yet all of this is said to be physically real. We already noted Frank's insistence in regarding stories of the maiden that I did not tell you about this in spirit or in heaven. Instead, I said everything in broad daylight on earth. There's a lady in a tower, and there's a painting that they call a portrait. A real maiden, a real tower, a real portrait. Not a symbol, a spiritual maiden, a metaphor, or a Shoshana disincarnate. Whereas the prophet Zechariah wrote, "Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord." Frank argues the exact opposite. By might and power, not by some invisible spirit, are the truths of religion known. Or as Frank states, I say that even in this world, everything that is of the spirit has to be turned into flesh, just like our own, so that everyone will see as clearly as you see something that is apparent. Frank's world is not a spiritual or an imaginal domain, but a concrete, mytho-folkloric one in which demons and black magicians are running rampant, and there's another realm on the other side of a partition, filled with godlike superhumans who may or may not have our best interests at heart. It has more in common with the scraps of practical Kabbalah, folklore, and demonology that became integrated into Masonic orders and later the Theosophical Society and Crowleyan magical circles, then with the philosophical expositions of Sabbatean thinkers like Nathan of Gaza or Abraham Miguel Cardoso. Frank's heroes are Balaam, the black magician, the Queen of Sheba, who is a visitor from the other realm, and others who are aware of the hidden worlds and magical beings who inhabit them. In the place of divine heavenly realms, Frank conceives of magical earthly realms populated by fallible material beings who await redemption just as we humans do. These beings, the Big Brother and his brothers and sisters, demigods, Shadim, Balei, Kaben, are all physical material beings like us. As Frank states at the end of a long parable, the wise look to heaven, though they see nothing there. But all nourishment springs from the dirt, and so does the dirt we should look. Frank's mythic theology is really an atheology here, thoroughly magical in orientation. Al Shaddai is not God, but a mortal figure who gives the sect invisibility cloaks like those in the Harry Potter books. El Shaddai may be more powerful than a sorcerer or wizard, but he is not different in kind from them. He's a magical being possessed of power. As we have already remarked, this rereading of scriptural subjects is similar to those in some forms of Western esotericism, which redefine King Solomon in the temple in terms of magic and sorcery, and redefine Egypt as the place of ancient material magic. For example, Frank cites his prophecy that Edom/Poland would be given as an inheritance to Israel and analogizes the Israelites deriving power from their powerful thing. It's interesting that he said Poland would be given as an inheritance to Israel. For those who understand their World War II history, keep in mind this is like back in the 1700s when he said this. To Poland deriving its power from Częstochowa, he understands both the temple and the portrait not as sacred spaces for prayer and spirituality, but in technological terms as powerful things that maintain kingdoms. As discussed earlier, this doctrine resembles those of 18th century Freemasonry, which understood the power of the temple in Jerusalem as being technological in nature, to early Mormonism, likewise influenced by Western esotericism, which held that the Garden of Eden was a real physical place located in Independence, Missouri, and the faithful would live forever in transformed but still physical bodies. Indeed, while in his exhortations to the brethren, Frank frequently speaks of faith in God. The agencies that will grant power to the sect have nothing to do with God. They are occultic, mythic, magical in nature, various beings, powerful angels and demons, an entire parallel world of superhumans led by the Big Brother. Frank's promised transformation is neither a redemption nor an apocalypse, but the transformation of humans into superhumans with power and wealth at their disposal. And I do gotta say, this is reminiscent to me of the symbolism that's present in, I don't know, things like, I've mentioned many times how Peter Thiel had the capitalistic venture that Epstein joined upon with him was Valar Ventures. That was one of their things. He dropped about $40 million, the Epstein estate did, into Valar Ventures. It's currently around like $160 million, so they're still making money off that. But one thing I always like to bring up is the Valar is from the Lord of the Rings, is essentially like the demigods. So it sounds like literally exactly what they're describing here. They're saying in the Sabbatean world, you have these literal these beings they interpret as being literal, being real, but they obviously drape them in mystical language, call them angels, demons, superhumans. There's Big Brother, demigods, whatever. It seems a lot like Valar Ventures to me. So and you kind of talk about like Temple of Set stuff that I've talked about before. These are magicians. These are the people. Or even with Epstein, where I talk about they're tapped into something else. This is kind of what he's talking about. This group that lords above us, that they control the world in a very real way. I mean, you can call it magic if you want. All right, let's roll the chat, and then we're going to get into our last segment of the day. After that, we'll get into the Glowie Grab-bag. Let's roll the chat, say some more good mornings, and then we'll get on out of here. Oh no, then we'll do the last segment, and then we'll get out of here. Maybe we'll cut it early. Keep that glowy shit for another day. I don't know. We'll see. Let's roll through the chat. Hubert, yeah, point. I almost commented too when she said she read all the pages. I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, that's such a ridiculous thing for anyone to say that you're like, no, you didn't. But it did seem dumb coming from her because she probably barely read any of them. Let's be real. Shayuon, yep, he agreed with me on the thing earlier. So he's letting his sentence run together. Yeah, see, there you go. So he's familiar with the word pizza being in there. Okay. Good morning, Saran. Remind y'all to hit that like button. Billy saying my tism showing. It happens. It happens at times. Good morning, Matza Ball says morning done back in the morning today. I'm so late. I'm sorry. I got you accustomed to being late. My bad. Melko says Epi was off the book CIA. His lawyers requested through a FOIA for his affiliation with the CIA when Epi was in jail. No paperwork was requested. Very similar to Tim McVeigh. Yeah, they did. I remember they looked through the FOIAs for CIA to see if he was in there or whatever. Which a lot of people have theories what the hell that was about, but and that was when he was in jail, is what Melk was pointing out. So was his lawyers doing it. So, good morning, Real John Doe. He says I've heard far more than one Israeli woman discuss similar forms of abuse over time. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's all too common, it seems. Tom says, are we believing the SRA survivor girl? I don't know. I mean, like, I don't, by no means am I asserting I know that for sure, but I mean, there's like a whole, just judging by pattern recognition, the other things surrounding her brother, being busted for crazy, awful shit. I don't know. I kind of seem to lean into it a little bit. Good morning, GitHub. Marmax says I want to go in the dark. Don't cut it short. All right, just because you asked, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's knock out the last ones. Let's go through Glowie Grab-bag. Starting off, I thought this would be a little fun little anecdote, a fun little weird factoid to start off this segment with. This is from Foundering. And thanks for making me aware of it, Rage Child. It says, the Florida governor in the 60s got divorced and married a 33-year-old German actress he met in Brazil. Her name was Erica Kirk. It says, I'm not even kidding. This is some real boys from Brazil, Stepford Wives shit. So here you go. Here is a side-by-side picture of Erica Kirk and Erica Kirk. You can see the one where they kind of have like half their faces next to each other. Look kind of similar. They could totally be related, very similar-ish face structures. And then you can see here, kind of Stepford wife looking chick here too. So Weird. I don't know. Whatever. It's a weird coincidence. It's lingering further on Erica Kirk. Apparently, she got appointed to the Air Force Academy Board, which, I don't know. Let's read this article real quick. I'm curious. What does that even mean? That bitch ain't in the Air Force. Like, I don't know. President Trump, who has appointed Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, to the Air Force Academy Board of Visitors. Okay, so visitors. Okay. All right. Because I had some people share this with me, like, oh my God, like, what does it even mean? She's part of the Board of Visitors. Comprising 16 members, the Board of Visitors is responsible for making recommendations to the Defense Secretary for changes at the Air Force Academy. Okay, so this is a whatever. This is a whatever story. A lot of people are like, oh, this is so weird. Who gives a shit? The board provides an annual report on the military institute's morale, financial state, and academics. Okay, I guess maybe there's a little bit of a give a shit. So they got the annual report they work on. I'm assuming they probably have some underlings that work on that. It's like, well, that'd be a weird. They're giving somebody responsibility. Also on the board is Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, Trump's recent pick to be the next Secretary of Homeland Security, as well as Senators Tommy Tuberville, Kevin Cramer, Ted Budd, and John Hickenlooper. So this does seem weird now I was like, this isn't so weird. Now I'm saying this is kind of weird because it does sound like there's actually some level of responsibility ingrained in this. You know, they're supposed to provide some sort of annual report, and she's a nobody. Her husband used to be on it, though. They're saying they replaced her husband, but it's weird. It seems like it's comprised of a bunch of senators. So there's only 12, they said, on the board, or 16 on the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so we've listed off 6 of them here. So 5 of them at least are senators. So I don't know. Seems a little weird to just throw some random broad on, but whatever. The board did not announce Erica's appointment, although her name now appears in the list of members. Asked to when Erica had been named to the board, the White House did not say, only praising Trump as making the perfect choice. So, okay, I don't know. I guess it seems like kind of a nothing burg, I guess. Maybe there's something to this. But either way, whatever. We've parsed through that. Now we know. All right, now let's get into some real spooky stuff. Some real glowy nonsense. Chemtrails. I guess they're legit. They be poisonous. Surprise, surprise. Batting 100 up in this bitch, as a rage child says here. Batting 1,000 actually. Which, you know, we're talking about this. The next thing we're going to talk about is how they're covering up cures for cancer. So pretty classic conspiracies today. So let's take this from Daily Mail. It says, once top secret CIA's files have detailed America's plans to control the world by manipulating the weather. The documents declassified in 2003 this is old shit. Discuss the controversial topic of weather modifications, the tactic of launching rockets or using planes to dump chemicals in the atmosphere that alter the climate and local storm systems. What the fuck kind of story is this? Sorry, I'm not trying to be a dick, but this is shit from like 2003 that they were just rehashing. Okay, whatever. You guys tagged me in it. We're going to cover it. Maybe there's something in here that makes it a little bit more relevant now. Although the resurfaced documents from 1965 did not mention the specific chemicals used in the experiments, they did discuss the need for more funding of the weather modification projects that would soon be used as a weapon of war. In fact, the memos noted that federal funding for the secret program was set to be 4 times higher in 1967, the same year the U.S. began spraying toxins over Vietnam to cause floods and landslides. One post on X claimed the CIA has been poisoning the sky and controlling the weather since 1965. The 18-page report was recently shared by conspiracy theorists years after it was quietly placed in the CIA's public archives, including a letter praising the classified operation from U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson. So I guess the way they justified writing this up is that it, you know, I guess is being rehashed on X. Like, I'm almost certain they've talked about this in the past, so I don't think there's anything new. I don't think this is like something someone just discovered in some files, because they're saying it was quietly placed in the CIA public archives, so almost if like people are just happening upon it now. Whatever. Johnson's endorsement of the CIA weather modification project came just 3 years after he gave an ominous speech on the future of America and the work to create weather satellites with the power to strengthen storms. While giving the commencement address at the Southwest Texas State University in May 1962, then Vice President Johnson said, "He who controls the weather will control the world." Kind of wild thing to say. What Oh, man, this is a long piece. All right, let's keep moving. I guess let's go through it. Fuck it. Let's do the whole thing. It says, just 18 months after giving his speech advocating for the U.S. to control the weather, LBJ became the 36th president and would oversee two infamous projects designed to manipulate the weather, Project Storm Fury and Project Popeye. Following the speech, the record showed real government programs were already underway by 1965, such as Project Storm Fury, which flew into hurricanes and seeded them with a freezing agent called silver iodide to try to weaken the storms by disrupting their inner structures. Johnson's letter, which is among the 18-page CIA report from September of that year, specifically mentioned the project's work in manipulating a recent hurricane near Florida, believed to be Hurricane Betsy, which made landfall in Louisiana as a major Cat 4. By 1967, however, this work expanded to Project Popeye, which was used against enemy supply lines during the Vietnam War to artificially extend the country's monsoon season. Intelligence officials also know that they had the full support of Johnson, who was determined to beat the Soviet Union's efforts to control the weather as global tensions escalated. The U.S. government has maintained that weather modification has been used only to help weaken dangerous storms and induce rain in drought-stricken areas. However, conspiracy theorists sharing the files have accused the CIA of using these projects to keep the world dependent on government by weaponizing storms, blocking sunlight, and poisoning food supplies to intentionally make people sick. Those allegations focus on so-called chemtrails, the white streaks seen coming from high-flying jets on clear days, which appear to spread out and dissipate very slowly. So ever since the start of the government's weather modification efforts, conspiracy believers have said these streaks are filled with hosts of dangerous chemicals being sprayed by military jets and commercial liners over populated cities. Those long-lasting trails that turn blue skies and milky haze for hours, not condensation. That's poison falling on your family, your water, your lungs, one person's social media alleged without proof. According to U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy and environmental researcher Dane Wigington, chemtrails allegedly contain toxins and metals, including aluminum, barium, strontium, and even mercury. These materials are put in jet fuel, RFK claimed in April 2025. I'm going to do everything in my power to stop it, find out who's doing it, and hold them accountable. The vast majority of scientists have long declared this theory is false, arguing that most condensation trails or contrails are a result of water vapor from aircraft exhaust freezing the ice crystals as they hit cold air at high altitudes. And before anyone asks, I know I am an aircraft mechanic, and I've gotten this, or was, I guess, I mean, what did I ever stop becoming one, I guess? I guess I still kind of am. I still know how to do those things. I don't do it currently, so I guess I'm not. But yeah, I don't know shit about contrails. I know I've been asked multiple times in my life, like, oh, do you think chemtrails are real? I have no idea. I always used to joke, be like, yeah, I fucking, I got a service with a chemtrail, their chemtrail confuculator or whatever, every other flight or whatever. But I have no idea. I have no idea if chemtrails are real. Just because I work in the planes doesn't mean a damn thing. However, the declassified files in former President Johnson's own words have revealed new evidence that the U.S. was in a Cold War battle to master weather control technology before the Soviet Union. Records disclosed to the public after the Vietnam War showed the U.S. seeded clouds of the toxic substance called lead iodide in order to create increased rainfall near the Ho Chi Minh Trail, causing landslides and making the route impassable. Lead iodide is toxic to humans because it contains lead, which can cause lead poisoning with symptoms such as headaches, fatigue, abdominal pain, neurological damage, kidney problems, and developmental issues in children. There's no safe level of exposure according to health authorities. Wigington, environmental researcher for 30 years, claimed that the conspiracy surrounding chemtrails was not only true, but has actually crippled the Earth's ability to naturally overcome the pollution caused by humans. He said that lab tests and rain samples, photos of specialized planes carrying these chemicals, government documents, and whistleblower testimony all show clear evidence that the secret program has attempted to weaponize weather. Soil tests estimated that airliners allegedly equipped with secret nozzles and tanks on their wings filled with aluminum, barium, manganese, graphene, and various polymers dumped between 40 and 60 million tons of nanoparticles in the sky annually. Well, okay, this did seem a little bit... This is obviously clickbait, but hey, enough of you guys tagged me in it that, fuck it, we covered it. So we got a little bit of a chemtrail bit today. But yeah, there's nothing... I'm not seeing in this thing any reason why this is reported on recently, so I don't think there's any new news. It literally was just that people are posting about this a bunch on Twitter right now. So that's why they made they made something out of it. All right, well, let's see where the next one goes. Let's see if the other one's clickbait too. We got one more to go through with you guys today. One more of these grab bag stories. We got the CIA making it so cancer kills us, preventing us from getting our cures. So CIA faces furious backlash after hidden document with potential cure for cancer is declassified. Let's find out this one's clickbait too. Watch, this is going to be something that was declassified like 30 years ago, and for some reason they're writing a piece on it. Okay, never mind. All right, we got newly surfaced, so I guess it depends on what you consider newly. A newly surfaced CIA document suggests U.S. intelligence once reviewed research that hinted at a possible cancer treatment more than 60 years ago. The document, produced in February 1951, declassified in 2014. It's another clickbait one. I'm sorry, but whatever. We're gonna go through it. It's declassified in 2014. So I guess when they're saying newly surfaced, I don't know what they mean. Are they meaning 2014 newly surfaced? Are they meaning someone found it recently? Even then, I highly doubt that like it's newly, like as if it was just found. Like whatever. Anyways, sorry. But whatever, we're still going to dig through it. Declassified in 2014 summarizes a Soviet scientific paper that examined striking similarities between parasitic worms and cancerous tumors. The report describes how researchers believed both organisms thrived under nearly identical metabolic conditions and accumulated large reserves of glycogen, a form of stored energy. Hell yeah, dude, we're getting worm-pilled here, though, so I'm kind of glad I'm sticking around for the story. That's a fun conspiracy, getting into how parasites rule the world. So yeah, just get your dewormer and you don't have to worry about cancer. Research also highlighted experiments showing that certain chemical compounds were capable of targeting both parasitic infections and malignant tumors. One drug, Mirasil D, was reportedly effective against Bilharzia parasites as well as cancerous growths, hinting that treatments for parasites might also attack tumors. I'm going to take some ivermectin if I get fucking cancer. Other compounds are found to interfere with nucleic acid production, a process essential for the uncontrolled growth of cancer cells. Experiments on mice even show that tumor tissues reacted differently to certain chemicals than normal tissues, further reinforcing the perceived biochemical overlap between parasites and cancers. Although the document was declassified more than a decade ago, it's recently resurfaced online. So someone posted about it somewhere, so that's why the Daily Mail's writing a piece on it. But whatever, fun little dive for us, I guess. Fueling outrage among some Americans who say it raises troubling questions about why Cold War research hinting at possible cancer treatments sat in intelligence archives for decades. The Americans knew it, they read it, classified confidential, and locked it in a vault for 60 years. One person shared an X, including the CIA document in the post. Another X user says the CIA knew from 1951 that cancer was parasites. However, the document itself does not say cancer is caused by parasites, only that a Soviet study noted biochemical similarities between tumors and parasitic worms and observed that some compounds affected both in experiments. Daily Mail has contacted the CIA for comment. The CIA document was based on a 1950 article published in the Soviet scientific journal Priroda by Professor V.V. Albatov, a researcher studying the biochemical behavior of endoparasites, organisms that live inside the body of a host. American intelligence analysts translated and circulated the paper because it was considered potentially relevant to biomedical and national defense research during the early years of the Soviet War. According to the Soviet research summarized in the report, one of the most striking similarities between parasitic worms and cancer cells was their metabolism. Parasitic worms that inhabit the human intestine rely heavily on anaerobic metabolism, meaning they generate energy without requiring large amounts of oxygen. Tumor cells appear to behave in a comparable way, often relying on altered metabolic pathways that allow them to survive in oxygen-poor environments inside the body. Both parasites and tumors were also observed to accumulate large stores of glycogen, a molecule used by cells as an energy reserve. This buildup suggested that both types of tissue might operate under unusual metabolic conditions compared with healthy cells. Researchers classified these tissues as aerofermenter metabolic type, a term used by German scientist T.H. Brand, meaning they can produce energy even when oxygen is low and can also survive in an oxygen-free environment. This dual metabolic ability may help tumors survive in densely packed tissue where the blood supply is limited. The Soviet scientists also pointed to experimental drugs that appeared to affect parasites and tumors in similar ways. By one example cited in the CIA document was Mirasil D, a compound synthesized in 1938 by German chemist H. Maus. The drug had already shown effectiveness against bilharzia, a parasitic disease caused by blood flukes. According to the Soviet research, it also demonstrated activity against malignant tumors. Another compound discussed in the report was guanozolo, a guanine-like molecule that interferes with the production of nucleic acids, the chemical building blocks of RNA and DNA. In laboratory tests, the substance suppressed nucleic acid synthesis in certain microorganisms as well as in cancer tumors grown in mice. Because cancer cells required rapid DNA replication to divide uncontrollably, blocking this process can slow tumor growth. The research also examined how tumors and parasites reacted to a chemical known as adabrin, which exists in two mirror image forms known as enantiomers. In most animals studied, the left rotating version of the compound proved more toxic. But tumors issued from mice, certain mollusks with left spiraling shells, and parasitic worms inside frogs were more sensitive to the right rotating form. This unusual response suggests that tumor cells and parasites may possess chemically inverted receptors, meaning the molecular structures interact with drugs differently than normal tissues do. Based on these findings, the Soviet researchers proposed several biological features that tumor and parasites might share. These include the presence of unique antigens, unusual purine metabolism involved in nucleic acid production, and altered enzyme systems within the cell's protoplasm. The scientists theorized that malignancy might arise from chemical changes within the cell's internal environment, particularly changes affecting enzymes and the proteins that carry them. The CIA document concluded by noting that ongoing Soviet research into tumor proteins and cancer cell chemistry was considered especially important at this time. During the early Cold War, American intelligence agencies closely monitored Soviet advances in medicine and biology, fearing that breakthroughs could have implications for both public health and potential biological warfare research. Although modern cancer science does not treat tumors as parasites in the literal sense, many aspects of tumor biology, including altered metabolism and immune evasion, remain active areas of research today. The declassified report offers a rare glimpse into the scientific ideas being explored behind the Iron Curtain to the mid-20th century, when researchers were still grappling with the fundamental nature of cancer and searching for clues that might one day lead to effective treatments. All right, let's roll through the chat, say our goodbyes, and then we'll get out of here. Say some goodbyes, all that, and then we'll get the fuck out of here. So, it's just bug fights. I think we'll get out of here early today. Jose, literally stream, not hating. Do your thing, King. Did I say get out of here early today? I said that earlier, thinking I might cut it. Well, I only said that because we were already almost at 1:40, and I'm like trying to squeeze a segment in with like 20 minutes because I don't want to go longer than 2. That's too long, and I got shit I gotta do. So, I don't, but yeah, whatever. The people asked for the more, and I gave them more. Good morning, TDJ man says chemtrails are heavy in Georgia. Yeah. Boomer said as Howard Hughes claims he's a recluse and didn't groom himself, seemed fake and odd because he was OCD, had a fear of germs. Kind of glowy info lies the last 20 years of his life. Yeah, I've heard that too, that he was kind of almost this like Paul Bunyan figure, and a lot of people think it was kind of almost like contrived, which I think there's kind of a similar thing to be being done with like characters like Elon Musk, although I think the illusion has kind of faltered a lot as of late. But yeah, I mean, remember like a year or two ago when like everyone, even to this tiniest bit right of center, was like, oh, Elon Musk, oh, free speech, oh, he's so great. Yeah, we're not getting that so much anymore. Well, that's it. I'm caught up on the chat. Still beat 2 hours. We're still under 2 hours, so cool. Should be back either tomorrow or Friday. Like I said, if I do have a dump tomorrow, it'll be a late one. So, and I do remind you guys are producers on the show as well. So if you're on Twitter and you see content that would fit for the show, tag me in it. I try to not spend too much time on Twitter, so help me out. Help me find content. I got to have content to cover stuff. So, tag me in some stuff like this. Like I said, that Glowie Grab-bag was pretty much all stuff that you guys tagged me in, and so we covered. So let's do more of that. But I do have a fun little outro for you guys today. I did not observe St. Patty's Day yesterday because that's one of those holidays I always forget is even a thing. and it rolls up on me. So I do have an outro for you guys. So it's a little bit belated St. Patty's Day outro. I think you'll like. But for those who want to support what I'm doing, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can find the show on YouTube, Rumble, all the major audio podcatchers, and Twitter as well. Sorry, I'm looking for, and it's Twitter as well. That's at Targeting Jose. You can find the show on everywhere else under No Way Jose. So like on YouTube, Rumble, everywhere else, just look up No Way Jose. On Twitter, it's at Targeting Jose. If you want to support the show the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. You got a QR code right there too if you prefer to use that. And I give you guys a whole host of perks there. I give you guys access to early episodes. I try to do about 1 or 2 of those per week, and try to keep about 4 or so behind the paywall at any given time. I give you guys access to ad-free RSS feed, give you guys access to Telegram, give you access to pre-show, post-show, and video calls on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. That was last night. We had some great callers last night. Don't hesitate to call in, and definitely if you're a patron, you can call in as a one of the talking heads like I am right now. And I also give a big shout out to my sponsors. It's the highest level of my Patreon. It's a big thank you for their support. I have my previous Ghost and Tower Gang at Leonard Toad, also at Brigade D's, at ZOVRCK, at _Zeal, Twin Tuttle, at John Klebold, big fan of the show, Torme, at Wayne Tagless, One Car for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, and Jacob Wintergrad of the Biblical Anarchy Podcast. With that, guys, enjoy this outro. I'll see you guys either tomorrow or Friday. If I'm not here tomorrow, I'll probably try to drop an episode for you guys. I have another episode in there that I was going to drop a little bit earlier than my normal paywalled episodes, an episode I did with Jules, of Grey Pilled. So maybe I'll drop that tomorrow if I'm not there. So keep an eye out. I'll try to be there in one way, shape, or form if I can. But with that, enjoy this outro. I'll see you guys soon. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Good evening. I'm out here searching for leprechauns. These are tiny little Irish alcoholics looking to get your children drunk. You may think they're innocent, being as they're on the Lucky Charms box and all. But that's what mainstream media wants you to think. Why do you think there's no gold behind our currency? Because the leprechauns took it all and put it in a pot. Now we all love a capitalist, but leprechauns are just agents of chaos looking to get young people hooked on whiskey and Guinness. You know, Ireland needs to answer for this. Leprechauns, they're magically malicious.